We have space to roam. There's so much room for activities.
Oh my gosh, that's the best movie ever.
Step Brothers.
Bunk beds.
So much room for activities.
So much room for activities.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wide Awake podcast.
Are you ready?
We have just finished building the brand new studio, and today, our very first guest in the very first episode in the new studio is
Jules.
Jules from GoodLuck. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Josh. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored. This is the first time for you. So
It's the first time in the new studio.
first time in the new
It's
studio.
a big honor, an amazing guest to be here as well.
Thank you. Very honored.
So to get straight into it, I want to know, I was doing a little bit of research on you last night,
Yes.
and GoodLuck has been around for a long time.
Yo, we're part of the South African furniture here. Big time.
You are the furniture.
We are the furniture.
You are the furniture.
We've been going for almost, I think it's 2011, we released our first song. So we're on 11, is it 11 years or 12 years? I don't know what year we're in.
2022. It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, so we're 11 years, a long time.
That's quite amazing when you think about it, because I find it, when I think of South African artists,
Yeah.
there's not many that have been around for that long.
For sure.
And especially because you're still very young.
Yeah, I've been doing this. I started very early. I've been doing this for a while, but I started very young, and music, I just fell into it. And it's kind of just been this creative continuation and journey, and it's been amazing. Every time we think we can't improve or get better or push ourselves, we just somehow do. And I'm very lucky I get to work with some amazing guys as well. So yeah.
Well, I love your guys' music.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to know, how did GoodLuck come to be? How did the band start?
So myself and Ben were in a little band called Jack Sharp before GoodLuck, and Jack Sharp was all about sort of Afro pop sound, and we were performing all around Cape Town. And Ben came to me one day and he was like, listen, I've always loved dance music. My brother's doing this project which is starting to get off the ground now. It's a live electronic thing. It's called Goldfish. You might know about it. And I was like, yeah, they were just starting out at that stage. So,
Another
and I was
part
like,
of South Africa's furniture.
Yeah, another part of the furniture. And they were just starting out and kind of playing baraza and these small clubs. And he was like, I think there's such a limit to where we can play as a full band. Would you be interested in creating a small kind of stripped down live electronic outfit to go and play in nightclubs, so we can bring the live thing into the dance scene, still have dance floors going, but we can actually have live music in nightclubs. And I was like, dude, I'll try. I didn't know much about dance music at the time. I loved writing songs, but I was like, I'm keen to give it a bash. And we started a little residency at a club called Karma Lounge in Camps Bay, which I'm sure no one remembers because
I have no idea.
It's where you probably were in nappies. No, but it was way back in the day. It was an awesome club right on the strip there. And we started a residency, and we were supposed to do a month over summer, and we ended up doing a full year every Sunday. And we played there and just started to create live electronic music. And kind of the rest is history from that point on.
That's so cool today.
Yeah.
And what was the first song that put you guys on the map?
Taking It Easy. I didn't even sing that song, by the way. I wrote it, but I didn't sing it. So it was a collaboration with an artist called Matthew Gold. A collaboration. It was kind of like a ghost vocal. So I written it. I wrote the song with Ben. He'd come up with this beat with Raven, who was our first saxophonist in the band, and he played it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is lovely. And he was like, yeah, but it's not really the vibe we're going for, because at that time we were doing more of a electro swing kind of sound.
Yeah.
Like a jazzy vibe. And I was like, okay, but can we just please write the song and just finish it? And can we just see what happens? And then he gave me half an hour. I wrote the song. I took it to him. I was like, what do you think of this? And just imagine John Legend singing it. And he was like, okay, I get you. He was like, so how do we get John Legend? I was like, no. We'll find a South African version. And so we found Matthew Gold and recorded it, and he just did a fantastic job. And then, it was on radio, and it was a first release, and it was our first number one. So it was good.
And what was it like being an artist and writing this amazing song and having someone else perform it?
For me, that's the beauty of being a songwriter. The song is the hero, right? You don't want to ever prescribe that it has to sound a certain way because of your vocal limitations. I don't believe I'm in any way, shape or form close to a phenomenal singer. I do my best and I have a sort of unique sound, but sometimes I write a song and I'm like, this it's not going to be like, I can't do the song justice. I need to get someone who's just got that right voice for it. And I want the song to be the hero. I want it to sound the way it's supposed to sound. So we will, myself and Ben, we'll think about it. And if I'm really not the right fit vocally, we'll get someone who is, and I love that. I don't mind if I sing it, someone else sings it. I just want the song to shine.
I think that's a great thing because, I think it's the same thing in the movie industry. It's a lot of people audition for the role, and sometimes there's an amazing actor. They're just not right for the role, and it wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love that you're able to kind of separate that and go, this is what that song needs.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm not the right person for it.
Yeah, I think there's no place for ego in the music industry anymore. It's like, and then of course there is still ego in the music industry, but it's like, it's a serve industry. You're serving people something. And, it's like a chef. You're making a dish. You don't want it to be like half of what it could be. You want it to be the best thing it could be. And you're not there for your own sort of gratification. You're there to give someone something incredible. And so like, if it means having another artist or two or whatever, do it,
I was driving the other day, and it was actually funny because I had like a little bit of a fight with my cousin.
Yeah.
Not a fight, but we were just like, there was a bit of tension.
Banter.
And I was sitting there and I was playing music, right? And I was thinking, where the hell would we be without music?
Yeah.
I don't think sometimes, or I know I don't appreciate it enough, but I was thinking as well, like the most popular forms of like content creation, there's making music, or the most popular forms of art. There's music, there's film, there's photography. And I'm like, which one of them makes me feel the best? And it was music.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't need to think too deeply about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be happy. You don't need to be sad. You can just listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's what makes me happy. I take a long drive in my car and I'm going somewhere and I'm like, this traffic sucks. But I play music.
And pulls you out of the dark space.
And it does. It really does. Like, it is one of the art forms that I believe can actually change the way you feel.
Yeah. I think on a physiological level, your cells change. Like, scientists have shown this, like, different frequencies and different sounds, different sonics can actually physiologically change your cell makeup and like almost your DNA. It's crazy what music does. It's really crazy.
I think that's what your music does for a lot of people.
I hope so.
And I also read, I think this was on your website, to be honest, is that you guys have done over 500 live shows.
Oh, way more than that now. It's probably over like, oh my gosh. It's probably over like 2,000. I don't know.
Are you serious? When was your website written?
Yeah, probably need to update that one. No, it's like, at one point, GoodLuck we were doing kind of cheap as over 100 shows a year, which is one every 3 days, which is like insane.
How do you do that though? Like, how do you mentally do that?
Look, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. And I got to a place, actually, the end of 2019, where I was really burnt out and hating it. I spoke about this openly before. On our socials and stuff. But, I just got to a place where like we were doing so well. We were the busiest we've ever been. We were earning the most money we've ever earned. And we were just on the road consistently traveling, doing all this. And it was fun, I guess. But like we were doing it so much. It was so much that I actually started to not enjoy it. And the interesting thing was Ben, who's also the producer in the band, was in exactly the same headspace, but we weren't talking about it. But we were both just like, we were both just at the end of our tether. Yeah. So in a way, the pandemic, as difficult and as hard as it was almost like the reset that we really needed. For a lot of reasons it was difficult, but for a lot of reasons it was good. And I'm feeling now going into this new kind of wave of shows and touring, it's exciting because we're kind of doing it on our own terms. It's not just like doing loads of gigs for the sake of being busy. We're doing it now. The gigs we want to play, the people we want to play for, the places we want to go to. It's like we're deciding that, for the first time, instead of just trying to please everybody, which is kind of where we were at in 2019.
For musicians, especially when you're touring, because you guys do quite a lot of touring.
Yes.
What happens when you wake up and you're just like, I don't want to go to work today?
You can't. You have to. Pull
What
up your,
happens if you wake
there's
up with
no-
like diarrhea or something? You're like,
No, oh yeah, okay. Well, well, look. I mean, I've been in situations like I think in the last 11 years, I think I've missed 2 shows in 11 years, which is not a bad run. If you're sick, you just have to go and do the show. You know, people have paid their money, they've done their bit. Like really short of, actually, both times I lost my voice, so I couldn't sing. One time was in France and one time was in South Africa, and if that happens, it's unfortunate. Like we can't. I think but the boys still did the show on their own, without me. It was a bit strange for them, but
or did they just play your vocals?
no, they just like did a DJ set with like
Okay.
live sax and keyboards and stuff. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was cool.
The
And
show
in fact,
must
now
go
we
on.
still do club sets, but I just join in too.
And I mean, over so many shows,
Yeah.
some crazy stuff is bound to happen,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure. Can you tell us about some of the most memorable experiences you've had? If you can think about them off the top of your head.
No, there's so many. It's just like, what is the wildest? I think one of my most memorable shows was we got the opportunity to go and perform. It was actually a private event. It was somebody's birthday, but they wanted to do this really crazy thing. They wanted to throw a gig on the top of the highest glacier in the Swiss Alps.
On a glacier?
Yeah, like the top of the highest, tallest snowy mountain. And they wanted to helicopter us in with all the equipment, pop us on top of the mountain, and then like all their friends would be flown in and we'd play this show on top of this glacier. And we did it. We got helicoptered up with all the gear. We landed, everything was set up. They dug like special sort of seats and things in the snow, and they had like oysters and vodka, and it was like quite a thing, and put like fur rugs, and it was really cool. And we got there with our gear, and it was minus 25 degrees, and we the technician and we all walked over to like where we were going to set up all the speakers and everything. It was all starting to go. I was a bit nervous because I was like,
There's a lot of pressure.
no, I was just like, how am I going to sing at this like altitude with this temperature? And never mind me, the saxophonist, minus 25 for sax. I mean, anyone who plays saxophone will know your key, everything goes out of tune, and also your hands. I mean, it's just how do you do it? And then we kind of thankfully got a call from the weather control to say there's bad weather moving in and we have to get off the mountain
Move out.
quickly. Yeah. So we left the gear, got back in the helicopter, flew down, and then the gear got like skied down by the the professional guys who were like.
So
up
did you
there.
not even actually get to play?
We didn't play up there, but we just threw a party down in the town, like, and it was awesome. But it was a really, if it had happened, it would have like. Can you imagine? It would have been amazing, but yeah, I mean, there also are limitations and parameters, equipment like computers and things. Not everything functions at that temperature.
No, definitely not.
So, but it was a really novel idea and something, I think. One of those kind of like what is this life moment,
Just
where
overly
you like,
ambitious as well.
yeah, you like on top of a glacier in the Swiss Alps and you're about to try and do a show and you're like, what is going on? How did we get here?
So when you start your music career, I bet you didn't picture that.
No, I didn't. No, and then I think also another really memorable moment for me was playing in London. One of the first big festivals we played, the Holy One Festival with all the color powder paint. Do you remember those ones?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And we were like very much an unknown band at the time, and we were told like expect really kind of almost hostile behavior from the Londoners because they're so spoiled and they get everyone.
I've heard there's quite a lot of issues at those festivals though.
Well, just like
In terms of people actually getting way too aggressive.
oh yeah, that too. That no, make no mistake, Londoners can be like like that, bruv and all that stuff. But we were just told like they don't know you and you're new and like. Don't expect a good rapport because they get to watch like Dua Lipa and then Chris Martin. They get to watch whoever they want all the time, and they're quite a finicky audience. So we were like, oh,
They
okay.
voice their opinions.
Yeah, or if they don't like you, they'll just stand and look at you. They won't. So I was like expecting it to be terrible, and we played right in front of the Battersea Power Station, 15,000 people, and it was just absolutely off the charts. Like I have never experienced energy like that to this day in an audience. And like the euphoria that you felt from like being able to take this crowd who had no idea who we were on this journey with the music. And it was just about the music because they didn't know the songs. It was just about the
So they were
journey of
all
the music
experiencing it for the
for
first
the
time
first
as
time.
well.
And just to have it, it was just, I cried when I walked off stage. I was just like, that is why I do this. This is why I do this, to be able to just create these experiences. It's so cool.
I mean, I was actually just about to ask you what's your favorite part of performing,
Yeah.
but I think you basically
Answered
answered
that.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it like performing in front of new people as well? Because you do a lot of traveling. I mean, where's your music most popular besides South Africa?
Oh, besides, probably the Netherlands, I guess. The Netherlands, the UK to a certain extent, but probably the Netherlands. Weirdly, we've got a very niche following in Vietnam. Very strange. But and we've been there a couple times, and I love the country. I love the people. I love playing there because it's like you feel like you're in a different world. Literally, I mean, first of all, the audience often sit down, not always, but they're often seated, which is strange for dance music. But they watch and listen so intently. And then they usually always have glow sticks. So there's just a sea of color, people just waving these glow sticks. And it's just it's very different to what we used to. And it's a very interesting place to play. Different dynamic, different people, different energy. But I love it.
I also really love the Netherlands.
Oh, no, that's Vietnam.
Oh, Vietnam.
They don't have glow sticks in the Netherlands. Oh, my gosh. I would pay a lot of money to see Dutch people waving glow sticks.
Why? What's the vibe like there?
Okay. The Netherlands is so cool as well. I mean, I think, a lot of South African artists do well over there because there is that connection with South Africa. It's kind of like we were colonized by them. So so there are a lot of these.
We have a really, really deep connection.
Yeah, we have a deep, long-standing connection.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, I think that the Dutch people have a very high appreciation for electronic music. So that really helps us in what we do. And then also they've got fantastic festivals there, that are really just experiences. And when you go and perform a festival or an event, it's just so slick, and it's lovely to tour there. And it's kind of like in 2019, it started feeling like a second home. And in 2020, we had 2 or 3 tours planned there, and we were, really looking forward to going. And unfortunately, none of it happened. So we're hoping to be back again this year. Yeah.
And I mean, what is your favorite kind of environment to perform in? I mean, festivals, normal kind of concerts, or
festivals.
You love festivals.
Who doesn't love a festival? I mean,
I know.
It's just they're so great. And also not just about the size and the scale, it's just there's so much music. So often I sit and watch. I just go and I just watch the artists, and it was funny actually. We played a gig recently called Some Sundays, which is just at not Zevenwacht, Nooit Gedacht Wine Estate. It's a new brand that's launched. Really cool actually, like a Kirstenbosch out in the winelands with food. Very cool vibe. And before the show, Grassy Spark were playing, and Jacqueline the Wind, and there was another band, escapes me. Anyway, we went to go and just sit and watch the show before on the grass, and people, I couldn't believe that we were sitting there. They came up to because we were also playing, later on. They were like, oh, why are you watching? Why are you here? Why are you out front? And I was like, why can't I be? I just want to watch the music, because often it's, watching it from backstage and it gets a bit one-dimensional. So it's nice to sit out front and experience.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I love festivals. I love watching other bands, getting inspired. It's a nice vibe.
And I mean, when it comes to festivals, I know this is kind of a hard thing to talk about, but
yeah.
I mean, especially with what happened at the Astro World Festival, and there's also been there's been quite a lot of
what happened there. I don't even know.
At Astro Worlds with Travis Scott.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I mean, have you ever had any experiences where you thought things were getting too out of control, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, we played a festival in South Africa once where there were a lot of fights that broke out in the crowd, pockets of fighting. And just really ugly, not nice, There's a lot of testosterone at the event.
Yeah.
And I was watching this go down, and I pulled a bit of a Dave Grohl. I sort of stopped the show. Well, actually, Ben decided to stop it. I was guys, if you're going to fight, we're not going to play. So calm down. And then someone threw a shoe at my face and it like missed my head by like inches. So then I grabbed the shoe and I came out and I was like, who threw this shoe? And then like everyone was like, this guy. And I was like, security,
Take him out of here.
take him out of here. And they did. And then Shane, I think he got arrested. And his dad was, I saw him with his dad after the show. Like his dad was trying to negotiate. But yeah, I just like, that's not what music's about. It's about fun and love and happiness and euphoria. It's not about fighting and aggression and negativity.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
especially not at a GoodLuck show. Don't come bring that there. Like there's no time, no place for it, you know.
You guys do put off such a positive energy as well.
I think you have to put into your music what's in your heart, you know. And I'm generally a very positive person. I like to see the best in people if I can, which is most of the time. And I like to try and put that into the songs and inspire and give hope. And like, you know, it's being given this gift as a songwriter, you're channeling, you have the opportunity to channel a certain message into the world. And I think it's your like responsibility actually to make that something that can affect change for good. And if you're not doing that, you're deciding not to do that. Of course, there's a place for everything, but like, you know, I don't really believe that's what music's about. I don't know. That's just me.
And I think when you listen to music, you sometimes can be quite in a vulnerable state, you know, because you're feeling emotions.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with a sad song. Don't get me wrong. Sad songs are beautiful, but there's still something positive to be taken out of a sad
100%.
song. You know.
I mean, also, when it comes to South African musicians,
Yeah.
who inspired you guys the most growing up and and now even?
I mean, obviously, we were very inspired by Goldfish. You know, Ben's brother is one half of Goldfish. They really did pioneer the live electronic sound, you know, and globally too, bringing these live instruments into dance music. It's like, it's so great that we as a country were really the front runners in that thing in the whole world, you know, which is cool. And then now recently, I mean, there's so many fantastic artists like, from South Africa. I actually was talking about this the other day and just saying how incredibly spoilt we are here. And how I really feel like Africa and South Africa is the next undiscovered gem.
I find a lot of artists, there's so much talent here.
There is.
But I find a lot of people find it so hard to break out.
You know, new artists, I don't envy being a new artist. I mean, we're working with this kid now, Will Lindley, who's obviously broken out on TikTok, and we're working with him on his live show. And if you don't have something like that, that's just like really like a whole lot of eyes on you for something very fast, it's so hard to cut your teeth, you know. And we had radio. That's how we broke into the industry and got fans and got on festivals. We had radio, and radio is less relevant now, unfortunately. I hate to say that. I mean, it's still important, but it's not enough. You know, you can have you can have like number one songs and stuff and still not get any gigs.
Especially when you're getting on radio in your country a lot of the time.
Yeah. Obviously, if you get on radio globally, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you're getting on radio only in your country and you've even got a few number one hits, it doesn't mean you're going to get shows. You know, what gets you on lineups is knowing that you can sell tickets. And having an audience. And having an audience is something that like is really difficult to achieve these days because there's so much noise and so much content and so much to see.
And there's so many musicians in South Africa that have a lot of number ones and that are doing really well on radio play. Yeah. But at the same time, like you say, they won't necessarily sell tickets because they don't have that core following. Yeah. You need a social media following these days to make it, I feel.
Yeah, and even if you have a social media following, it doesn't mean you're going to sell tickets. It's actually such a unique, the link between your music and your social media or content needs to be so strong that there is action of people wanting to come and see you live. Or you have to be known to have a really good live show. And yeah, I really don't know. I don't want to sound like a negative person, but I don't know if I would get into the music industry if I was starting now.
It must be tough.
That's a hectic thing to say. But it is the truth, you know?
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot harder these days.
Yeah, it's so much. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. Like, I feel like there was this curve, and I always talk about it. Like, we had the curve in South Africa, like on radio, kind of pre-radio, where there were some artists that really, did great, and it was very easy to gain fans, and it was like the start of Facebook, and radio was massive. And if you had a big radio song, you would get tons of people going to your Facebook page, and it was kind of like to get these fans, like bands like Prime Circle and Just Ginger, and they were kind of, and Goldfish, they were on that curve. They were before the curve. Then it was like we were on the curve. So we were like, it was like us, and then like Jeremy Loops and Matthew Mole, and like, I'm obviously talking about a certain market now, but like we were on the curve. And then it was like and then it was like after the curve. And after the curve is tough.
And do you find there's less kind of bands or musicians
coming out?
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's kind of like we've built, or there's like an established group of artists in South Africa, and I find very few are entering.
New, yeah. Will is honestly one of the first that I've seen in a long time who's able to, like, have enough of the hype to get the kids to the show. And we know that kind of pressure and that's why we've been helping him with his live show, because you can have all the hype in the world. If your live show isn't good the first time people see you, they're not going to come back.
Another thing is, I think people these days want things to happen instantly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not how it works in the music industry, unless you have like a crazy lucky breakout.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, especially like your guys' career, you guys have been grinding for so long.
It's hard work, man. And I think also that's another thing. I think, and I don't know, I notice it. I notice it with artists who are big and having like loads of followers on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, and putting out fantastic content, and like, but they're not playing live. And I almost feel like they've got this. Maybe I'm just assuming this, but it does feel like there's this kind of insecurity and mental block against actually being vulnerable and going out and doing the live shows. If you want to have a career as a musician, that's such a big part of it. You need to actually put the graft in on the live side. And there are a lot of artists who are doing pretty okay on YouTube and Instagram, but just haven't managed to translate that into like a live career. So yeah, there is definitely, I hope that's going to change post the pandemic. Look, we've also had 2 years of no shows.
Things have gone too online these days.
Yeah, lots of digital streams, but I think it's coming back, And I really hope these new artists that have managed to cut their teeth during the pandemic digitally are going to be brave enough to start putting the work in on the live side, because we need new talent in the live arena.
I think so too.
Yeah, we do.
And I mean, talking about lockdown.
Yes.
What was that like when lockdown started? Like, because I remember I was following you guys during lockdown. And I mean, it was a huge shift in the way things worked. You couldn't go to live shows. You couldn't, put on live shows unless they were online. Yeah. I mean, how did you guys adjust to the way things were going to be?
Oh my gosh. Well, basically overnight we had to learn how to be like professionals at live streaming, which is a whole, as you know, like a whole thing. It's like cameras and sound cards we knew about sound cards, but it's like lapel microphones and
it's a completely different ball game.
It's just a whole different ball game. And then there's the streaming side and the internet side and the buffering speeds. And it was really...
Load shedding.
We had load shedding. There was just so many factors, we were just like juggling. And like, I think what was so awesome for me to see is like our whole team, when this happened, we kind of came together and we had a bit of like a crisis management meeting. We were like, hey, what are we going to do? And we all pulled together and we started creating live streaming content called Get Lucky Streaming, which we would put on at our studio. We put a lot of effort in. We got a little bit of buy-in from a couple brands, and we managed to facilitate concerts for ourselves, but also other artists, where they would come in and just play and sell tickets and make money and earn a fee. And like, it was so great to be able to do that and facilitate that for the industry as a whole. I mean, I was so worried, not just about us. I mean, we were like in a relatively lucky situation that we had our royalties that were still coming in and a little bit of savings to live off. But so many of my friends who are very talented musicians and living gig to gig as session musicians, I just was freaking out for them. And Yeah, and we've had a little bit of a brain drain in the music industry, especially on the other side of it. Like, it's not just about the musicians. There's so many technical crew, production managers, events planners, everyone who works in the events industry. We've had a lot of talent and a lot of skill, unfortunately, has had to leave South Africa and move to countries like Saudi and the UAE and Europe. And so we have a little skills shortage actually now in the industry coming back into the live events industry. So
why did they leave? Just because of no work?
No work and no support from government. In other countries, there was like more financial support for our industry. And there was just nothing. Nothing. It was just like kind of like just do something else. Yeah.
It is quite mind-blowing. And I find a lot of the time, and I also don't want to say this in a negative way because I love South Africa.
Yeah,
but
we all do, yeah.
I find that there's very little support for the creative industry a lot of the time. The people that I find show a lot of support are the radios.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like Carl Wasty.
Oh, yeah.
People like him.
Gosh, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's such a great guy.
He is one of, I think, first of all, he's amazingly talented.
Yes.
But I love the support they show to artists on his show.
He's a phenomenal guy. And somebody who we really connected with during the pandemic as well. He emceed a couple of our events. He is so passionate about music and he puts intention into everything he does. And that's a beautiful and very rare thing in the world, So when he back announces on radio, he will always back announce the artists. It's a small thing, but not everyone does it, He'll always give them shine, always shout out, always pushing. He's always creating the space and the platform for people to like talk about what they're doing.
100%.
And it's awesome. And there's a lot of support, there's a lot of support, but they also, I think that the tricky thing and the difficult thing for us to swallow was during the pandemic, it was like the media generally didn't speak about our industry. They spoke about hospitality being in trouble. They spoke about tourism being in trouble. You never saw music and events, and I was like, it was just a bit of a burn because we're like, it almost felt like no one really considered our industry to be a real industry. And it was hard to see that time and time and time and time again. And we were like, guys, like, do you understand how many people are connected to what we do? It's like, it's a massive business.
And it's a massive part of people's lives.
Yes, it is. It's a massive part of people's lives. But I think when there's something like a crisis, it's the first thing to be forgotten. And that was a hard lesson, to kind of learn. But at the same time, you can't really change people's behavior. And you can't really expect something that's just not going to be there. So all you can do is like control what your reaction's going to be and how you're going to play the game differently.
I also remember when things started to come back and you guys were allowed to start performing.
Yes.
There was a lot of drama around it as well. I mean, I saw that there was something that happened at La Parada where like, as soon as you guys, was that one of your first gigs back?
No, that was after a stint. That was at the end of a stint of being allowed to perform for about 3 months. So we had like a window where there was obviously a, what do you call that? A wave. And then like the wave dipped. And then there was like a 3-month stint from say September to December where we were allowed to perform. And we performed, there was just such bad timing, that whole thing. That was.
Can you explain what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can explain it from my side, probably for the first time. We performed the night before Cyril Ramaphosa was going to speak. And there was a lot of uncertainty in the air. Like people didn't know if he was going to shut it down, what it would mean for the hospitality industry. There was a lot of like not sureness going on. And him and his cabinet met on the Sunday morning. So they had made their decision by that stage. But we played the Sunday night and he was due to talk on the Monday. So we performed a show at La Parada. Very, very, very compliant event. It was like 180 people outside. Everything was followed, sanitizing, like temperatures, all the protocols. I was actually impressed. It wasn't our party, but we were playing. It was La Parada's event, but I was impressed when I got there. They did everything by the book. We played the show. Everyone was sitting down for 95%, eating their dinner and not wearing masks because they were eating. And the last song of the show, everyone got up and danced. And I jumped on the table in front of me. And at that point, somebody jumped on the stage behind Ben with a camera and filmed it and then just sent it out to like.
Did they film it with the intention of going like
I
they're breaking
didn't
the rules?
know, but it turns out yes. Unfortunately, it was a competing restaurant. I won't name who it was.
That's so.
But it was a competing restaurant down the road who actually wanted
to shut you guys down.
To
or
shut
to
La
shut them
Parada
down.
down. They were upset that La Parada were doing concerts and they sent it out to the world. But of course, everyone basically blamed GoodLuck for the third wave or the second wave or whatever. We got dragged through the coals. And interestingly, not one media outlet, Eyewitness News, News 24, reached out to me to even ask if it was true. So my understanding of what the media is now is what it is. And it's like, it's not investigative journalism. It's not reporting the truth. It's just how many clicks can we get. But we all know that, right? So I think we have responsibility as people watching the news to really not just
question what's going on.
Yeah, not just assume it's the truth. They'll never apologize. They'll never say like we made a mistake. Like they won't do that. So you need to just question everything. And the sad thing is like my mom, for example, she like for her the news is like the newspaper, and when they would read the news, it was like back then it was like they take time to formulate an article and then they would write as close to the facts as they could get, and it was like, hey, the news is reporting the truth, but now it's like how quickly can we get the eyes? And that means the truth is secondary.
Even if the article, I find it is factual.
Yes.
The headlines are usually so blown out of proportion.
Yes.
And a lot of people
they make up their mind on the headline.
People only read the headlines.
They read the headline and they think they know from the headline, which is sensationalist. They're like, that's what it is, It'll be like, South African band causes second wave. And they're like, they're so evil. And they're, right. And I mean, yeah, it was hard. It was so hard. It was so tough. I went through the worst time. Like, I actually, like, yeah, I went like...
And was that your first time experiencing backlash?
Yeah, like we'd never had hate before.
I'm actually getting tingles.
Yeah, it was hectic. Like we got cancelled, And it was like, your people can be really mean and really nasty. And I got messages from people saying like, you're the reason my grand died and stuff. And I'm like...
Are you serious? That's ridiculous.
But it happened. It happened. It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I experienced my first cancellation during lockdown
Did you as well? Okay.
At the beginning. I mean, I've had so many now.
Okay. Like thick skin.
Yeah, no, but in South Africa especially, I find it's going to happen because we have such opposite opinions and there's so many like contradicting opinions. And especially I find in my industry, as a lot of my stuff is documentary, it's meant to make you feel something.
Sure.
So a lot of the time they're not necessarily angry at me, they're angry at the thing that I'm documenting. And
no, they're angry at themselves, actually. Everything's a mirror.
A lot of the time, yeah.
It's just mirroring what you're... Anyway, yeah, that's
but it is very difficult to deal with it on your first time round. Like, I remember when I took a photo during lockdown, and in my opinion, it was an incredible photo.
Yes.
But it was quite a controversial photo.
Yes.
And I actually was like, should I post this or should I not? And my friend said, it's an incredible photo, you need to post it.
Yeah.
So I did. And I mean, I had like within hours, I had thousands of messages from people going just absolutely nuts because it was picked up by these big platforms.
Yes.
And I mean, I had 5 FM radio DJs threatening me, and like it was crazy.
Wow.
And like no one wanted to hear what I had to say.
Yeah.
Everyone just saw this big platform, like massive platform, going after me, and they were like, "They must be right." They didn't even reach out to me to talk. They were just like, "We hate you."
No, exactly. It's crazy, and then everyone follows suit, But like you said, there's nothing you can do. It was also, in our case, quite divided, but but still it was a difficult thing to experience and like go through. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I think you go through the stuff to actually, get perspective on other things. So it's preparing you for something bigger. So don't like... You think about how must it be to be like Britney Spears or something? You think
probably
like...
not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all character development.
I'm glad I heard you say like it's hard the first time. Because it means like the second time, to not to care so much. Because the thing is, you've got to protect your own heart. You have to. And like everyone, there are always going to be people that just are struggling so much that they can't help but project that on other people.
Exactly. And I think the thing that I do is, even if I mess up and I do something that I feel after the fact was probably not the right thing to do,
Yeah.
I always go in with, if my intentions were in the right
Good.
place,
Yeah.
then
Don't
I made a
question that.
mistake.
And don't question that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like
No.
with the thing with your guys' concert,
Yeah.
I don't think you guys did anything wrong.
Well, look, we apologize. You know, La Parade, it was their party, but they chose to just cancel all their social media accounts and just go quiet because they were advised to do that. And, you know, and that was cool. Like that was their own thing. It kind of worked for them. We obviously a band and we had to say something. So we apologized from our side. And I think I know what my fault was. My fault was like during a pandemic, I was stupid enough to get on a table. And I actually remember when I was stepping on the table thinking this could backfire. But I'm so happy that they're dancing suddenly. You know, like they've been seated for 95% of the show. They've been so boring. And now they're like having a good time. And I actually just want to go out there and I just want to like have a good time with them. And I went there and I stood on the table, but thinking, ooh, Jules, this could backfire, knowing what was going on. So I made that choice and unfortunately it did backfire, you know, and I look back on it now and I'm like, maybe I should listen to my gut. I'm not a school teacher and I'm not there to tell people to put on masks. And actually, I actually did do it twice during the show because I just knew what was going on in the landscape, you know. But like, I don't like doing that, you know. It's like your personal choice. People are big adults. They must choose if they're going to do things the way they're going to do things, you know. And yeah, our job was to entertain and we did that to the best of our ability.
Exactly.
We're not security. We're not
You're
like
there to perform.
We're there to perform.
And I mean, when it comes to getting backlash and how do I say it? I mean, I see that you've been quite outspoken about body positivity as well.
Yeah.
Online,
Yeah.
which I think's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
What kind of led up to that? Why did you decide to start speaking out about it?
Look at me. I got curves. I'm in the music industry. I'm a female, and I've never been like really skinny and really kind of schmoedly, and like I've just always been like kind of like a normal girl, you know. And there is a lot of pressure on women in this industry. It's very tough for females. Not a lot of females actually end up having the wherewithal to do this thing because it's like there is so much.
Down.
It wears you down. There's so much pressure. If you're in the pop, I mean, I'm lucky I'm in a band, so I kind of not hide behind the veil of a band, but a band is kind of like its own thing, you know, so there's less pressure from like labels and management and everything to kind of be a certain way, look a certain way, do a certain thing. And there is definitely, especially like in America, huge pressure to be a certain thing, you know, and it's always about like sex. It's always about like the way you look and like, yeah, and sex essentially. I mean, because that sells, you know, and they're looking to make money. So there's crazy amounts of pressure on females specifically. There always has been. I think it is changing a little bit. I feel like there are enough really talented female artists now putting a foot forward and saying, you know, like, I don't look how you expect me to look, but look at what I can do. And enough of that is happening now that it's becoming kind of cool, you know, which is epic. But at the time when I spoke about it and like my whole career, there has been a lot of pressure from just generally, and even if it's self-made pressure, it's like to, you know,
the expectations of what you think
like,
people want you to be.
like look gorgeous, lose weight, you know, all the stuff that you have to do ahead of everything else. And I just wanted to speak out about it because, yeah, I've always felt it. I've not necessarily, like, I love food too much. So I've always kind of like, I've always just kind of like known about it, felt it, and then like be like, well, I'll just eat the burger, you know, like, and whatever. But it's
not, but it shouldn't be the most important thing.
It shouldn't be the most important thing. Yeah.
Nearly one of the most important things.
But I love that like the younger generations know that, buy that, feel that, you know. I mean, obviously a guy's always going to appreciate a pretty girl. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But like, you know, for it to be the kind of box that you have to fit into in order to make it as a female in the music industry is absolute nonsense. And I kind of wanted to just just talk about that a little bit. I've also had breast reduction. I spoke about that. That went a bit viral too.
I saw that when you type in your name.
Yeah, Jules
it's the
Harding.
first thing that
breast
comes
reduction.
up.
And that's so funny because it was just like, it was like it was one of those like, I was still very high on my medication when I did that post. It was like one of those like off the cuff things. I had just come out of surgery.
And then it got picked up by like News 24.
Yeah, no, I just come out of surgery. I was still like coming out of what do you call it when they put you under? General anesthetic. I was coming out of that and I was like a bit woozy and I was like thinking about how I'd had to pay for this thing and like started to feel like a bit cross because, actually had suffered with major back pain my whole life and had been told by numerous medical professionals it's because I had a double G breast size, which is huge for like my frame, and that like you need to have them reduced in order to help your back. And I was like, why is this not a medical thing? And why did I pay for it again? Like I had to pay for it in full. It wasn't even considered. And I'm just on a hospital plan. I just wanted my hospital bed to be paid for, not even everything else. So I just was thinking about it and I was like, I actually just want to ask the world what they think. And I just did a little post like in my bed, in my gown still, in this thing. And it went crazy. Like there were a lot of women. I think it was like a bit of a light bulb moment, because a lot of women had been silently struggling with it. And in Africa,
out of
it's
fear
big.
of speaking and people not taking you seriously.
It's awkward to talk about the fact that you want to have your breasts reduced. Like, women don't necessarily want to talk about that. Or they didn't feel like they could because no one else had. And I think it took somebody just going like, hey, like this happened to me and I don't know why it's the way it is. And then just all these stories kind of started coming out. I had most horrific stories being sent to me. Women with like, because we live in Africa, there are a lot of really heavy chested women here, like big.
Yeah.
And I had stories that were horrible. Like one woman wrote to me, she said her bra straps were actually making her shoulders bleed from the size. And still she couldn't afford a breast reduction and she was just desperate to have one. And like they would, her medical aid would just flat out refuse. And how can you say that's not a medical condition? Like when your shoulders are bleeding, like, I mean, what? Anyway,
crazy, eh?
It's crazy. But I learned a lot. I actually I had a meeting with the head of Momentum. They came to our studio and I
just sold them some photographs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're a cool company, They came down, they had a meeting with me. We put together a whole bunch of procedures that I said needed to be tabled for women. So there was a great change that was affected from it. But then obviously COVID happened and the focus went elsewhere a little bit. But I think certainly started the conversation on the fact that women's bodies are different from men's. I also learned there's like a board of there's like a board of medical, like a medical board that decide for all the medical aids what procedures have to be considered. And the interesting thing is that has to be procedures that pertain to both men and women, which is weird because we have completely different bodies.
Yeah.
So like things like heart attacks.
I mean, I feel like if it's impairing your quality of life, it should be considered.
And we have ovaries and we have things that you don't and you have things that we don't, so it shouldn't be the same. But anyway, I think we're at a bit of a fork in the road with it, and and what I liked about it is that they did come forward and they were willing to speak to me. The other medical aid brand that weren't, so just know that.
Just next time you're thinking about
just
picking
that. Yeah.
So another thing is, I think this is why I relate so much to you guys, and why I think a lot of people do, is because you are very, how do you say, you're very you.
Yeah,
you're not trying to put on this image of perfection or everything is great. When I find it when I speak out as well, because I'm quite outspoken about the things that I've gone through.
Sure.
I mean, I always post about people teasing me about my ears. Because I mean, I've dealt with it.
They're great ears.
They're just ears.
They're great ears.
They stick out a lot. But
you can see them.
Yeah.
I've got mouse ears. You can see. They're like little, they look like little weird. Yeah, anyway.
They're cute ears. But
Last
like
one.
I post about them because it's something that's bothered me my whole life.
Okay.
And I post when someone comments negatively about it. And I get messages from people saying, like, I got a message literally the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, and someone said, you know, my little girl's been teased so much about her ears because they stick out a little bit. All the boys at school tease her. What should I do about it? You know, like, because you can pin them back. And I always say, I mean, do what you think is best for you, but just be yourself.
Just be yourself, man.
And this brings me to the next topic.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself. It's one of my favorite songs of yours.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a good one.
It was so good. I was listening to all your music last night.
Okay.
I mean, I've listened to pretty much all of it, but I was re-listening to it, and I was watching the music videos, which I've never watched the music videos.
Okay.
And I love the Be Yourself music video.
It's cool, eh?
It's so good.
So much fun, yeah.
It's just energetic. And
I legit had to dance in a shopping mall in my pajamas, and like we didn't get permission or anything.
That's something I was going to say. I could see that it was spontaneous, a lot of it. Like, I could see even like the way the camera was focusing sometimes. Like you were literally in the middle of traffic in some of the shots. Not necessarily you, but there was guys dancing in the middle of traffic, and I could see that it wasn't like a closed off road. That was like a normal road.
No, and that guy actually, that guy in the traffic is an interesting story. I was playing a gig, a corporate event in Joburg, and that guy just got up in the middle of like this event because it was a seated thing, and he just started dancing in the aisle, and he had such cool dance moves. Like straight away after the event, I ran and I found him, and I was like, dude, we're shooting this music video this weekend. Please, will you be in it? Like you are so unique. And I went to the director, who's actually from the December Streets, Tristan. I don't know if you know him. He's a really cool guy. I said to him, I was like, Tristan, we've just done this gig, and there's a guy who just has his own style. It's so cool. Like, can you just cut a part in the video for him? And then he written the traffic thing and got him in this video. And yeah, it was really cool.
It was really cool. It was like such a feel-good video.
And the naked guy as well, who's cleaning. You see him at the end. He's like cleaning, and he's
I'm trying to think.
Right at the end, like big guy.
He was in a lot of the music video though.
Yeah.
With Ginger Guy.
No, the other guy.
Okay, no, I don't remember which one it was. But I mean, what was like the process of writing that song like? And I mean, what was the inspiration for that song?
That's a very interesting song. I think I pushed myself very hard in that song. You know, it was one of those situations where the room, there was an intimidating situation with the other artists that were there, which is never a bad thing actually. We're in the Netherlands at a studio called Rodeman Studios, and we were collaborating with a very good friend of mine, Boris Smith. Ben and him had created this beat. They were like loving it was going, and we were going to come in together, work on the beat, and then I was going to write vocals and melody. And there was this guy from another band who is like an iconic Dutch house group that had, you know, kind of been around forever and really had huge hits like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he was just like, he had an incredible energy and presence, you know. And he was just sitting there, like he was more kind of just helping here and there, but he was like at back of the room. But I could tell everyone was trying to like get his opinion on stuff because he's kind of that, you know, it would be like having Carl Cox on the couch, you know, but the Dutch version. So I was like freaking out, and I was like, I have to write something good. So I went outside and I was just channeling musically, weirdly, Simon and Garfunkel, which is like Paul. I don't know if you know them. They're like,
I know Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, like Graceland, and like I was channeling their sound. That's a, like if you listen to the melody, it's a da 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 da. It's got a bit of a like a Simon and Garfunkel vibe. And then lyrically, at the time I was struggling with Instagram. I was struggling with
image and
no, just young people. I was like feeling how much pressure there is to be something you're not.
Be a certain standard.
Be like other people. And I wanted to just write an encouraging message to young people to say, don't overthink it, and just like rather don't lose yourself, you know, connect with yourself. And like, so I wanted that to come across in the song. And then
it definitely does.
Yeah. And then I wrote it. But this is the funny thing. I wrote it. I loved it. I went in to sing it. I was so nervous, and I went in to sing it. And that guy who I was trying to impress, he sat there and he was like, I don't like it. I don't feel it. Sorry. And I was like, okay, now I'm getting tested by the universe, because what do? I've written a song called Be Yourself. I love what I've done. And here's this guy who I'm trying to impress who doesn't like what I've done. And you know what we did? We went with it. And it was a hit. It got in the top 40 in the Netherlands. And we went with the original idea.
I mean, it is an incredible song.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys did go through it. And wasn't the first hit you said also that you guys had was also like a song that you weren't going to put out.
Yeah, it often happens like that, you know. Right now we're working on a song that I'm also terrified about because it's complete departure from what we normally do. It's a collaboration with a Nigerian artist. It's a Nigerian sound. It's got all the auto-tune and everything. And it's like, I'm nervous, you know, but like, I think you just have to throw mud at the wall and see what sticks.
But I think also you put so much effort into something over a long period of time. Like, how long have you been recording this song for?
Okay, honestly, 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, it was originally a collaboration with a French DJ called Nebra. He's like a future bass guy, and we wrote it, and it was cool, but not really his style. So he was like, "You can have the track if you want." So we're like, "We'd love to." But then the production started sounding a bit like 3 years ago. So this year we took it and we started reworking the production, and we were going a bit of an Ed Sheeran-y kind of route, a bit more acoustic, a bit more organic. And then we started working with this phenomenal producer from Cape Town called Greg Abrams, who, by the way, is responsible for so many hits that you don't even know about because he's like ghost producer, but great. And he and Ben just started taking it in this like very like Nigerian feel with the beat. And I had TMJ. Does anyone else get like jaw pain? I had like really bad jaw pain, and I was on the couch. I was feeling very sorry for myself and hopelessly
Jaw
useless.
pain from what?
I think clenching. I don't know what I get it
just
from.
out of nervousness or?
I only get on the one side. I'm in the process of figuring out why I have it, but it's, you know, I get like jaw, ear pain.
I got a lot of pains. I just started ignoring them by this point.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do that. Ignore them, yeah. But anyway, I was having a debilitating day, so I was being useless, lying on the couch and just feeling sad. And Greg and Ben started taking it in this direction, and they're singing these lyrics, and they like, I don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, I lift my head. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This sounds bizarre. And they're like, just go with it. And I was like, okay, back to sleep. And and I think it's going to be cool. Because actually, you know what? Like, that's what I love about GoodLuck. We don't stick in a lane. We make electronic music, but we've done everything from drum and bass to swing to pop to flipping everything.
I think that's how it should be, though. It's like, because, I mean, like I am a photographer.
Yeah.
I don't only ever take photos of one subject.
No, you're great.
I like to switch, you know?
You're great, yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same with music. It's like sometimes you think of a beat and it's not necessarily what you usually do.
No.
But you have to take that risk and just go for it.
Yeah,
you know?
there's two different ways as an artist. You can have a sound and you can stick in it, and that's nothing wrong with that. But like for us, we just would get so bored. I would not be doing music if I had to make one kind of music. It has to change and evolve, and like it's so much fun to try something different, you know, and work with different artists. I mean,
it keeps you fresh.
It keeps you fresh, and I love the sounds coming out of Africa, South Africa. I'm flying to Joburg next week to start writing with some incredible. I'm a piano artist and Afrotech, you know, I like, just because this is a sound that I love, and it's like, yes, maybe I don't fit the profile of who's singing, but like, who cares?
I think Africa has like such a raw, salt the earth, like, you know what I mean? It's not like, I find, maybe I'm speaking out of, I don't have a lot of knowledge, but I just feel like it's raw, it's real, and there's energy.
And it's fresh.
And it's fresh.
It's fresh. Like the rest of the world wants it. It doesn't understand it necessarily, and just like is intrigued, you know? So it's like I said, it's the last undiscovered hidden gem in the world sonically for me. You know, everything else has been done a million times.
I feel like something will happen, and that switch will.
Yeah, it's already
will
happening.
Be very rapid.
It's already like, look at Black Coffee. Look what he's doing.
I mean, he's
for the
massive,
scene.
yeah.
You know, Shimza, De Capo, Zakes Bantwini, you know, Kasanga, all these guys, like they're pioneering a movement of like confident African sound that is just so unique and so itself, and it doesn't need to fit in with the Western world. It's just good.
Speaking about African sound, I heard you guys recorded an album in the Namibian desert using only solar power.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Best thing I ever did in my life. I loved it so much.
Can you tell me about that process? Because that just sounds so interesting. You made a documentary about it as well, didn't you?
We did. It's called This Might Sound Crazy.
It does sound crazy, but it sounds awesome.
It's on YouTube. You can check it out. Ben, who is our producer. Ben, who is the other one guy in GoodLuck. he's like got this insane imagination. He read a lot of books growing up. He didn't watch TV at all. And he, as a result, has this like incredible imagination.
And unique, because it's not influenced by everything you see online.
Yeah. No, he's a visionary. He's one of these guys that like, I don't know, he just comes up with stuff that you're like, wow. And this was one of those ideas. He wanted to take a whole studio outside into the desert and record, because he kind of felt like we were getting a bit stagnant in the studio. And I was on that page too, we were. So he wanted to take like a studio, and obviously with sound, you can't have any generators. You know, if you're going outside, you need to have electricity to record, but you can't have generators because they're like, brrr, you'll hear that in the recording.
Even if it's far away, it's too noisy. Yeah.
And the tech at the time wasn't really, solar was like, it's a thing, but it wasn't like geared up for this kind of like amount of usage. So he pulled a team together. We got a couple of brands involved to help us pay for it. And they really supported us. And we pulled together a really phenomenal film crew, 2 female directors, got together, made this idea, took this whole roadshow into the Namibian desert, went on a trip for 2 weeks around the whole of Namibia, recorded not just the music, but also the sounds from the environment. So we've got like zebras in the one track. And there's a really weird story about that, because we actually recorded the zebras. And when we came up with this trumpet hook later on in studio, that's something that was going to go in the track, we went back to the recordings of all the animals that we'd recorded, and the zebra sang the trumpet hook. So we duoed.
What do you mean it sang the trumpet hook?
Well, the trumpet went da-da-ba, ba-da-ba,
and the zebra made that noise.
Went, whoop, 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 whoop. So it's like weird. So we had them layered, like zebra and trumpet. It's like, but that just was fluke. And before we'd recorded the trumpet, we'd recorded the zebra. So it was like, anyway,
complete
we
flop.
had like the sound of the skeleton coast doing the white noise, you know, which is a very important sound in dance music of washing up the coast. We recorded, like Ben decided he wanted to capture the echo of the Fish River Canyon. So he like tossed a microphone and a speaker, played out the recording, and then like recorded the echo back to get that like natural delay.
I read about that.
Yeah, like all kinds of crazy things. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, and he's so cool. It was the best experience of our lives. The film crew who were on the road with us came back, and they were just like, we don't want to come back to Cape Town. We want to stay there for like as long as we can.
It kind of reminds me of like, I mean, in a way of what Queen did. You know, when, did you see the biopic when they went to the farm?
Yes.
And it's like, because you guys were in a place like Namibia, you had to take limited stuff. You guys had to get creative with what you did. You know, there's not like being in a studio where you have every single thing with you.
But we took a lot of gear, and I think.
But I mean, you had what you had with you, and that was it. We had with us,
and we had one of the most incredible things I think about that whole trip is we got permission from the Namibian government to go into Deadflay, which is like Sossusvlei, Deadflay, right next door to each other, to go into like, you know, that's that place where the trees are. There's, you know, that's that infamous place with the red dunes, and then
is it like the dead looking
dead trees and then the cracked ground. It's like probably the most iconic image of Namibia that the world has. Yeah, I know exactly
what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we got permission from the government to take a fully fledged studio into Deadflay and record at night. And we were at that point one of 5 people in the world who'd been allowed to be there at night. They're very strict in Namibia. They really protect their country.
I didn't realize that was ever closed off.
Oh no, it's a reserve. And you can't go, like at sunset, you have to be out of there. And we got to stay there till midnight, which is like we one of 5 people in the world who have been allowed to do that. The crazy thing is it's a 60-kilometer drive back to the gate. And we were staying at a camp just off, so not at the main gate. We were like at a special little small gate to get back to our accommodation. And that like bordered the reserve. And we were late by 15 minutes because we'd had to lug like tons of equipment over sand dunes for like a kilometer. We had to carry because you can't take a car there. So, you know, we'd had to like
schlepping equipment onto like a site is the bane of my existence.
In the 40-degree heat and then back at night, you know. So we were 15 minutes late, given it's a 60K drive. And what I really respected, I know this at the time I was furious because I was like, I just want to go to bed. But what I really respected about this country is that the person at the gate, the small gate, not the main gate, the little random gate, knew about us, and we were 15 minutes late, and she would not let us out until she had permission from the minister that she could do that. So she woke him up in Windhoek. I phoned him and was like, they're late. They've overstayed by 15 minutes. Can I let them out? But they are so strict about, they really protect their country. And you can't bribe anybody there. You can't like, they are like.
In Africa, that's a rare thing.
It's a rare thing.
Yeah.
You know, and like in that country, they really do protect and respect what's going on there. And everyone does. Like no matter what level of society you're at, they look after their country. It's awesome.
I've actually never been to Namibia.
It's the best country in the world. It's so, I mean, obviously South Africa is the best country in the world, but it is literally, if I had to move anywhere, I'd probably go there just because it's so beautiful. It really is. You must go.
They call it, what do they say? The big sky or something?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I can't remember,
it's
but
like,
yeah.
it's just so flat in certain parts that it's just like the sky looks like almost like a bubble.
There's I think 1 person per square kilometer there in the country. So it's like
that sounds awesome though.
Yeah. It is like we drove, I think 140 Ks on a road the one day where we didn't pass another car the whole day. 140 Ks of driving and we didn't pass one car. It's
I
like
couldn't
on a
imagine
road.
what it was like to lug all that equipment though in that temperature.
No, you know, I don't know because I went for a hot air balloon ride. I got to go
Bye,
be
boys.
like, yeah, I know all the others had to do it. Shame, Raven and Ben, and yeah, they were troopers. I was like, I'm going to go and do this awesome thing for footage.
Another thing that you guys did was, didn't you guys go on tour with Pharrell Williams?
Yeah, we opened for Pharrell, yeah, on his South African trip, yeah.
That must have been quite an experience.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorite songwriters and artists and an incredible person, humanitarian. It was like a huge bucket list tick for us, yeah.
And how did you guys land that opportunity?
I don't know. We just got asked to play.
That must have been
Sometimes
awesome.
it happens, you know, like you're like, what?
It's like these big breaks.
Yeah.
Would you say that was probably the biggest break you guys have had?
It's one of them. We've had a lot of just, I would just say they're like a lot of lucky opportunities. And maybe it's because we have this.
I don't think it's luck.
This name.
I don't think it's luck. You know, when you constantly are performing and working super hard and like you guys have been around for a while and I feel like you're always so passionate about what you do. That's the kind of energy I get from you guys.
I'm really glad that translates.
It's not luck at that point.
Yeah.
It's luck when you like perform every now and then and maybe write a song every 3 years or whatever, and like something blows up. That's luck.
Yeah.
But when you're consistently working hard at what you do and perfecting your craft, it's no longer luck. It's people recognizing that you're amazing at what you do.
Thank you.
And that you deserve that opportunity.
That means the world. Thank you. It's at the bottom of my signature I have what is my little tagline on my email? It says, the harder I work, the luckier I get. But then Ben made me change it. He said, you have to write the smarter I work, the luckier I get. He's like, enough hard work now. We got to work smart. So,
or the luckier I get, the harder I work.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think it is about working these days smarter and hard, but not as hard. Because there's so many other pressures. But I mean, to kind of end off, I want to know, what advice would you give to other people trying to break into the industry in South Africa?
Oh, there's so much. I think my advice, because I'm preaching about something that I've never been good at. We spoke about this earlier, actually. Yeah. Is, build up a team. Do as much as you can, learn as much as you can, but at some point you need to let go. Build up your team, trust people. Let them work with you. Let them fail. Let them help you. It's like I've always been one of those people who tries to do everything myself. And to a certain extent that works, but you sacrifice a lot for that, and you will burn out if you don't let other people work with you and be your team and be your support and, and share your ideas and share your visions. I'm kind of giving myself this advice while I'm.
You're giving it to me as well because I need it.
While I'm saying it, I'm giving it to myself. But like, trust other people. Let them in. Let them share. Let them fail. Build them up. Let them help you.
Just collaborate.
Collaborate.
And I think the thing that tells me when someone has a hard time letting go or bringing on other people to help them with what they're doing, it's because they have so much passion and love for what they do that they believe that they're the only person that will put that time and effort into making it what they want it to be.
Totally. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
there are people out there that are extremely
people that
talented and have the same vision as well.
that are not as excited about what you're doing. And look, not everyone is, and you will get burnt. You will have problems. There will be conflict, but you'll work through it, you know. And then I think just another bit of advice is just relax and enjoy the chaos, you know. Don't try and control.
Don't get too caught up in it.
Yeah, don't try to control everything too much. And then obviously just, everyone will say this to you, but just stay true to what you love and back yourself, you know. Like, everyone has an opinion all the time about what you should and shouldn't be doing, and like take on board what you feel in your gut is real and true and applies to you, but then also know when to park that for what it is and not onboard it, because, you know, not every piece of advice you have to follow.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing these days is, and it holds me back quite a lot, is listening to people way too much.
Yeah.
Take on board advice if you feel like it's good advice,
yeah,
and that you can learn and grow from it.
Sure.
Or be better at what you do because of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to ignore the bad advice.
Yes.
You just have to go, sorry, bro.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to every random person.
Yeah. It's just like it might work for them, but it's you know, everyone's journey is different, everyone's shape is different, and it might work for the way they would approach things, and maybe not you, you know. And if
don't
it doesn't,
let your vision be derailed.
Yeah, and listen to your gut. Like, this is your second brain. Like, you can overthink a lot, but if you bypass your brain and listen to your gut feeling, you'll get the answers. You know, too many times I've ignored my gut, and I've always paid the price for when that's happened. But if you like connected with your gut feelings and your instinct and you listen to it, you won't go wrong. Just impossible.
My mind's telling me no. Sing the chorus.
What is that?
But my body.
What are you singing?
You don't know that song?
No.
My body's telling me yeah. I'm not singing it very well. Anyway.
I think it's your singing.
My singing's awful.
No, I'm just joking. I love your singing.
Awesome.
And I love your ears. And I love your vibe, actually, overall. So
it's just a lot of passion in this room right now.
Yeah, so much on this
Amazing.
new couch.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I know you came from a far way away. I don't want to say we go. Okay.
Muizenberg.
Come
I'm
from
a surfer
Muizenberg.
girl.
It's a long drive, so I really appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
down and helping me break in this new studio.
It's a beautiful studio. It's a lovely energy, wonderful space. You're going to get lots of cool people sitting on this couch.
Thank you. And I'm starting off with
me,
a very cool person.
in my yellow, sunny vibe.
Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited to be sitting in this new studio. The old studio was cool. It was just a bit uncomfortable. This way, we have aircon. We have space to roam. There's so much room for activities.
Oh my gosh, that's the best movie ever.
Step Brothers.
Bunk beds.
So much room for activities.
So much room for activities.
Anyway, I've got a lot planned. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's awesome to be back. I know we've kind of had a bit of a slump recently. This is why. The new studio is why it's been taking up a lot of time. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Cheers. Outro music. Bah, be yourself.
Bum, bum, bum.